I'm Larry Menti. Welcome back to the Delaware Way. It's a hot topic in this campaign, reforming the juvenile justice system. Well, actually reforming the justice system, but particularly getting people when they're young and entering the system. To talk more about that is Lisa Minutola, who is Chief of Legal Services at the Office of Defense Services. Thank you so much for being in. That's a mouthful. What is the Office of Defense Services?
The Office of Defense Services is really the public defender's office in Delaware. Last year we had some legislation that codified our practice, which is to represent individuals who are indigent, who cannot afford legal services in both the public defender's office, which is your traditional indigent defense services, as well as the Office of Conflicts Counsel, which handles individuals who are unable to represent themselves or afford representation, but have a conflict of interest, so another agency has to represent them.
Reform of the juvenile justice system is a broad term. It's a big
Correct.
umbrella. Under that, what are the specifics? What needs to be fixed?
Well, what we're looking at is ways to really keep juveniles out of the system to begin with. And then if they come into the system, which are the best ways to make sure that they get rehabilitated, and that when they are finished with their programming, their treatment, that they're able to be successful members of the community. So to keep their records clean, or if they have a record, to expunge that record so that mistakes they make when they're youthful offenders don't haunt them for the rest of their lives.
Now, you know, there's going to be some people that hear that and go, well, wait a second, what are the mistakes? I mean, if it's a violent crime, does that count as a mistake that needs to be expunged, or should they carry that with them?
Well, I think it depends. It depends on what exactly the case is, but also depends on the facts and circumstances of the client. And there's a lot of U.S. Supreme Court jurisprudence that talks about children are just different, children are malleable, they're not as culpable, they can change, and so you really need to look at the child's case as a whole. So you can't just focus on what the actual crime was, but focus on the facts and circumstances of that child. So really what we want to do is make sure that the courts and the system have more discretion to look at each individual case and decide what is the appropriate punishment, and then perhaps what's the appropriate rehabilitation and expungement.
The way the judicial system is set up now, the way juvenile justice is administered now, are we creating lifetime criminals because of the way we're treating them very early on?
We do have some problems with that. Our expungement statutes in Delaware are pretty rigid. We're ranked as one of the worst states in the U.S. for juvenile expungements. So it's very difficult for a child to obtain an expungement of their criminal offenses. So that's going to prohibit them from maybe getting into college, from getting certain types of jobs. And so they may end up in a life of crime because when they try to have a successful path, they have these barriers, and so they go back to what they knew, which was maybe selling drugs on the streets or some other type of criminal activity.
So you have these ideas and you have this reform. How does it all come together? Is there funding for this, and how does it all happen?
There is. In 2015, Delaware was awarded a grant. It's the Smart on Juvenile Justice Youth Access to Counsel initiative. It's a federal grant with $150,000 of planning money. So we have a strategic plan that will be drafted hopefully by June that will focus on reforms in Delaware. And then there's potential for more federal implementation money to actually put those plans into action.
Do you have any difficulty in convincing people of the wisdom of this? Because there are people, as I said, that are going to go, well, they're being soft on crime. They're not dealing with criminals, and there's some people that are willing to give up on these kids.
Right.
But you could be preventing crimes later on.
Exactly.
If you catch them early enough. Is that right? And is there proof of that?
There is definitely proof of that. There's proof that you know, children's recidivism rates are not that high, that children really age out of offending behavior. You sort of have a peak around age 14, and then as they get older, they begin to age out of that. The adolescent brain development shows that the brain isn't even fully developed until age 25.
Wow.
So, yeah,
I've seen proof of that.
Right. We all have with children, I believe. So treating, you know, children as if they're mini adults is not the way to go.
But allowing them to also get jobs later when they become
Correct.
25, and when they do mature, if they have a record, that's it. They have nowhere else to turn
Right.
many times but for more crime.
Exactly. Oftentimes they will be denied jobs. There are certain careers in which having a record will be a complete bar. So, for example, they might try to get a nursing license, and because they have a record, they can't actually become a nurse, even though they've gone to school to be educated for that.
Great. Well, good luck with it, and come back. Let us know how it goes. Thank you
Pleasure.
very much. Lisa Minutola, who is Chief of Legal Services at the Office of Defense Services. When we come back, do you know that you can have a stroke and not even know it? We'll talk about stroke prevention and the signs of a stroke when we come right back.